When things don't work out for us, we usually ask why. And it can be a useful question, but typically it leads to us finding excuses, blaming other people or events, and generally justifying our non-achievement. I'm Mark Johnson, founder of Intelligent Performance, here with this week's team tip. And I'd like to share with you a technique which will get you energized, focused, proactive, and massively increase your chances of success. It's called the question flip. Now, the question flip is grounded in neuroscience and psychology. And as we've learned more about our brains and how they work, we've also learned to manipulate our thinking to improve our results. Now, when we ask questions like, well, why did this happen? Why did that happen? Who's responsible for this? Why can't I get that done? They're all questions that focus on the past, things that have happened, and we can't make them unhappen. Now, don't get me wrong, asking why is really important for things such as data analysis or process improvement or mechanical tasks. But when it comes to people, we need to be forward-looking, to be positive, to be focused on action, which is all about focusing on the solutions and not the problem. So let me explain the question flip. Essentially, we want to avoid using the word why and replace it with words such as what or how. So for example, say someone in your team misses a deadline. Instead of saying, well, why is this late? You could be asking, how can you make sure you're on time in future? You see, when we take away the why, we're taking away all the excuses. And when we replace that with what or how, we're replacing it with future actions, proactive steps that a person can take to improve their results. Now, another example might be, say you're working with a client. Instead of saying, well, why does this client keep changing their mind about this? You could ask, what can I do to get a firm commitment from the client? So again, you're focused on positive actions that you can take. Now, this isn't just about how you ask questions of other people, it's also about the questions you ask yourself. For example, if you missed out on a job interview, instead of saying, well, why didn't I get an interview for that? You could ask yourself, what do I need to do in future to make sure I get an interview? See, it's a different question, it's a different focus. Or instead of saying, why can't I find enough time to get things done in the day? You could ask, what do I need to do to make sure I achieve my priorities today? Again, a different focus, more positive, future action oriented. And it's focused on solutions, not the problem. Becoming solution focused requires a conscious effort. We need to rewire our brains, but when we do so, we find that the problems diminish and we're more focused on moving forward. So if you're serious about improving your effectiveness and increasing your chances of success, I've got some tips for you to follow this week. Number one, keep a log, a diary, a journal of all the questions you ask typically. Are they problem focused or are they solution focused? Do you use why a lot or do you use what and how? What's the balance? So that starts to raise your awareness of your own questioning technique. Number two is put up a reminder to prompt you. Maybe use a post-it note with the word why written on it and crossed out to remind you not to use that word so often. A third action you could take would be to write the words what and how somewhere in a prominent place. If you carry a notepad to meetings or something, make sure it's where you can see it, so you ask that question. A fourth action you could take would be to have a mantra that you repeat in the back of your mind, something like focus on the solution, focus on the solution, focus on the solution, so that as problems are arising, you've got focus on the solution. You're going to ask the right sort of questions. And lastly, number five, I would encourage you to share this technique with your team and get people to catch you out when you start to use too many why questions. So you can make it a bit lighthearted, treat it as a bit of a game, but it will prompt you and stop you from asking so many why questions. So with these small actions, I know you find both yourself and those around you making less excuses, not blaming other people or events, being focused, being proactive, and massively increasing your chances of success. It's a simple yet powerful technique. So if you'd like more information, please don't hesitate to contact me if you've got questions or concerns. Now, I'm sure some of you are thinking you'd like to improve your own effectiveness or that of your team. So again, my offer is always there. Please don't hesitate to contact me and we can talk about how I can support you with either one-on-one coaching or team development activities. Well, that's it from me, Mark Johnson, and until next time, remember, always live to your potential.